You know something's right. It's easy to see things happen and falling so naturally, but when you know something's wrong, you gotta look deep to make change or carry it on. You look for the light, but you in the dark. Everybody.
Thank you for tuning into my positive perspectives today. I'm Jason Dyerlon with educational co-host Eric. Good, man. One of the big problems that my talk show is wanting to deal with is parenting, and how that can, be a real hurdle for children if they aren't really parented properly when they're young. So you're the proud father of 5, soon to be 6 children. So what kind of things do you deem as important as a parent to instruct your children?
I think one of the first things as a parent, I think the time that you put in understanding your child. Because each child is different. What you teach them, what you expose them to, what you expose yourself to as a parent in order to understand your child. I think once you get that, that's the foundation, and you just learn day by day. But as a parent, you got to be willing to understand and change.
Yeah. Well, there's morals that are taught. There really are universal morals, I think. One of the most important ones is safety, and a child, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs states, if you have a child who does not feel safe, they're not going to really be able to focus on learning. And also another important thing is respect. Children having to respect their teachers or their parents. So what sort of things would you use to kind of get your children to respect not only yourself but also other adults?
Well, most people would try to use that method of putting their hands on them, but me personally, as a parent, I do more talking. I think if you talk to your child, you tell them what you want, and in the language that they understand, they can perceive it and calculate and put it in their head, and they can shoot it back out to you and say, this is what I'm not supposed to do because my parents taught me that. Right. So I think if we just teach the kids the values and what you want, and you tell them to them in the language they understand without being so physical with them, they'll just soak in. And
there has to be, consequences when the child acts out. So what sort of, because and I definitely agree that you should not use physical harm as a consequence. So what would be an acceptable consequence for a child that doesn't pay attention in school, makes poor grades? What would be an acceptable consequence?
I think with today's kids, a lot of kids today like video games and iPods, and a lot of them are sports inclined. So therefore, if you just take something that they enjoy and take it temporarily, not permanently, take it temporarily, but at the same time, once you take them, I think a lot of parents take things from kids, but they don't help them understand why. So I think once you take something from the kids as a consequence, talk to them later and let them understand this is why I'm doing it. And if it happens again, this will be the next consequences. And if they see a strict, straight pattern, then a lot of times the kids just conform to it.
Wow. So it really sounds like communication between parents and their children is a big important thing.
Yeah, I feel if you don't communicate with your child, the streets will. And as we look at the news today, you see a lot of these things happening with these kids. But I honestly feel that if a parent is actively involved in a child's life, whether it's sports, academics, personal, if they're in it, I don't think it can happen.
Well, that's really interesting, because parenting really is the foundation of education, and you really have to get the children to understand how important education is when they're at a very early age, because then they're going to receive it better and receive the message better and understand the importance of it.
See, and as a parent, I think once you relay a message to the child, if you don't relay it, the street's going to relay it, but they're going to relay it in a way that the kid can understand, so the child's going to experiment. And that, as a parent, we don't want our kids to experiment. We want to teach them so they won't have, they can avoid the experimentation.
Yeah, because when you say experimentation, you're probably referring to drugs and crime and all that stuff that we're really trying to get you kids desperately to avoid. And then there's no future really in that stuff. Wouldn't you agree, Eric?
Yeah, I agree. There's no future in it, and it's going to take you one way, and that's down.
That's just very true. Well, thank you for tuning into My Positive Perspective. Tune in next Tuesday for the next episode. Have a great day.
When you love something right, give it all from you.